Good morning. Happy Monday. How's everybody doing? Have a great weekend? Yes? Excellent, excellent, excellent. Hey, let's get started. So we got a lot to cover this morning. Let's dive right in. It's been a while since we saw my friend Ellen, so let's check in and see how she's doing.
These are real haircuts, too. This comes from Stephanie Carter in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I thought it would be fun to put my hair up in the shape of a chicken. Hey, check out that chick at the bar. Stacy Ware in Salt Spring Island, Canada. My cousin is going to kill me for sending this to you. I don't know what she was thinking. Even worse, I wanted to be just like her. That's horrible. That is really horrible. It's like the whole left side of her hair is trying to escape from that haircut. Dave Height in Florence, Alabama. Here's a picture of me in high school. Oh. I don't feel so bad about my mullet anymore. This is from Mark Harlow in Tallahassee, Florida. My friend thought it would be funny to get this haircut right before he had his driver's license photo taken. It is funny. He was right. You know who I think he'd have a lot in common with? Yeah. Then, if they had a little tiny baby, it would look like this. Romano Mayo in Elmont, New York. I saw this woman in front of me in line, and I had to take a picture. Wow. I wonder which came first, this photo or this photo? I don't know. If you have any photos or interesting hair,
Rick, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Well, that's bizarre. Here I am back. So I'm certain to say that all of us have photos that we're looking to suppress and not share, but I think it would be fun if you have a fun hair photo from a previous moment in your life or from last week, depending. Send it my way. We'll do our own little version of Ellen's hair issues. You might just get one of me in 9th grade with a perm. So that might be worth it. So send them my way. I'll put it together. All righty. Hey, speaking of somebody who has awesome hair, I think I see my good friend, Bill McNamara. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Rick. Thank you for that. Today, I asked Rick for a little extra time because we're going to talk about a totally new topic, rates. So actually, I do want to look at rates from a little different perspective to give you guys some insight into why certain rates are what they are. So basically, the interest rate on a mortgage is based on the risk of the mortgage itself plus the basic returns that are happening in the world at this moment. And so for a basic return, we look at a 10-year treasury, which is around 1%, and those are supposedly have no risk at all. And the reason that a 10-year treasury is only 1% right now is because, as you well know, if you go into the bank, they're going to give you 0.5% or 1%. Nobody's paying anything. So all rates are low right now, and that's because of economic activity not being as high as we'd like it to be. So now you look at a mortgage, and the rate is so low because mortgages are perceived as the lowest risk that a bank can lend to somebody. Why is that? Number one, they have security of the house. which is even better than security of, say, a car that can be driven off a road at any moment. So it's the most secure loan from a collateral standpoint. Owner-occupied houses, it's very important for someone to keep their own house, and they're going to do everything they can for that. They're going to struggle if they have to keep that and make their payments. And also, there's a very thorough vetting process to give someone a mortgage. So there we have it. We have mortgages are the lowest borrowing you can do. Now, yes, a car dealership may offer you a 0% loan, but the reality is they're making that money up in something else like the undercoating or whatever it is. So they're not really giving you 0%. They're building that into everything. So what I wanted to say about mortgages is right now the 10-year treasury is at 1. Owner-occupied house is between 2.5% and 3%. So we know that there's like a 1.5% risk factor to your standard mortgage. And that's fantastic. That's typical. But the fantastic part is that the 10-year being at 1% keeps everything low. Okay. So where I want to segue here is to why certain loans that we offer are more expensive to the borrower. Okay, the short answer is we never make more money on a loan because it's more expensive. We make our fee regardless. It's the risk of the loan. So Fannie Mae will loan somebody 2.75% today on a single family house they're going to live in. But if they want a 0-point rate for a 2-family investment property, it might be 4%. It might be 4.25%. The risk is much higher to the person lending the money. And that is the reason why we have these different rates. And the golden rule of finance is different from the golden rule of the Bible. The golden rule of finance is he who has the gold makes the rules. And so you have a Fannie Mae saying you want to buy an investment property. That's very different than buying your own house to live in. You want us to help you make money, and we need 4.25% or 4% in order to feel comfortable doing that. Okay. The reason I'm doing this morning is because we've had a lot of interest lately in our new alternative products that are coming back into the market. And some of those rates are actually 5%, 5.5%, sometimes 6%. Okay. But what they're doing is they're offering an opportunity. They're not upcharging somebody. Okay. Because the person who's going to take this loan doesn't have other opportunities. If they did, we would give them to them. And we work very hard to get the best program for each borrower. I have a guy right now. I've gone through every possible program for him. The only one I have left is called a no ratio loan, where he doesn't even have to list an income amount on his application. He does have to have a good sized down payment and excellent credit. He has both of those. He just can't show any income in any way. Okay. So he's going to pay, I think, 5.75%. He's excited. He's going to be able to buy the house he wants to buy. Okay. Nobody is taking advantage of him. What we're doing, everyone's working together to provide opportunities for as many different people in different situations as possible. Okay. I don't think anybody would argue that there's more risk to the person lending him that money than there is if everything else was the same. You had the same down payment of 30%, the same excellent credit, and a tax return that showed us he made a lot of money. Okay. So that's the story today, is why these alternative products have different numbers to start the rate. It's because they're different opportunities. And what we want to do is look at them as inclusive and productive, and everybody use them when we need them. But again, I promise you that nobody at Westport Mortgage would ever put somebody into that product until they've exhausted every other opportunity. Okay. Thanks for the extra time, Rick. I appreciate it.
It is my pleasure. Thank you, Bill, for giving us the long view on rates. We are going to have a quiz just before we finish today. So I hope you took notes on that. Bill's going to get back on and ask you some specific questions about the background of rates. So be prepared for that. No, of course, I'm kidding. So a couple of quick announcements before we dive into our stats. We have some exciting and interesting and valuable year-end stats to share with you this morning. A couple of quick announcements. Number one, did you ever get really excited about something and run around kind of telling everybody all about it, only to realize that you probably should have gotten a small bit of information more before you went around and told everybody about it? Well, remember last Monday when I came to you and said all this exciting news about saving you money and saving you hassle and making the monthly fees go away and having it all roll into one annual fee? Well, here's the good news. All of that is actually completely the same we are still going to save you money. We have worked some magic to put that in place. We are going to get rid of the monthly fees and move to an annual fee. You do have a bunch of different ways to pay that. All of those things are all still true. Dan Maina, though, asked a very important question. And in my exuberance, I answered him the way I thought I should answer it, except then your MCAs turned around and came back to me and said, no, we can't do it that way. And the question that Dan asked was, when does that take effect, right? Because we talked about July being when that would actually start, the payments would start in July and be July through July. And I got really excited and decided that we weren't going to bill you between now and July. And we can't do that. We have a franchisor issue there, and they reminded me of that franchisor issue. And so I am sorry to have to take a small bit of that back. We're going to try and make up some of that, make some of that back up to you, but come July. However, we are moving to that program. It's just going to take us a few months. So you will get an invoice for January and February and March and through June for your small tech fees. And then as soon as we hit July, then we roll into the new annual fee, which is July 1 to July 1. I thought we were billing in July for January 1 to December 31. That is not the way we can do it. So my apologies that I jumped the gun a smidge. Thank you to your financial services division for keeping me on the straight and narrow and making sure I don't go to Keller Williams jail. So that's just a small change. You will get an email outlining exactly what that looks like later today, but I wanted to tell you personally. Number two, you saw some family reunion stuff go out on Friday. I do need to hear back from you. I hear back from a whole ton of people. There's a whole ton more that need to come back and just tell me that they are headed to family reunion, so I can go out and grab those registrations for you. There are two things I forgot to mention about family reunion on Wednesday when I spoke about it. Number one, we do have a program that if you have a friend outside of KW who has sold at least $500,000 in volume in the last 12 months, which for most of us is a house. If you are interested in having them be our guest at family reunion this year, we will pay for them to be your guest to help you grow your downline, and we will also then cover your ticket. So having invited guests is a real benefit to you on a bunch of different ways. Do speak to your team leaders around the guests that you want to invite and have a plan put together for that particular guest. But that is one piece that I forgot to mention on Wednesday. The other piece is that we are having in the summer, it might be the late summer, depending on how things are, we are going to have a family reunion party. And so only people who attend family reunion are going to be invited to the family reunion party. And so you want to make certain that you are at family reunion, if for no other reason than to be invited to the family reunion party in the summer, because it's going to be a hot rocking time. So those are two things about family reunion I wanted to just make sure that you knew this morning. And go ahead and reply to that email I sent on Friday and say yes, so we can get those registrations secured. Today at 1 o'clock, as of last week, we did mention we were going to put something on the calendar to explain this insurance opportunity that we have. Some of you are a little concerned about how you do it. So 1 o'clock today is that opportunity. I encourage you to be on that just to hear how it goes. Hey, Kim Tromba, I think, is on the call this morning. And I know she's been using Safeguard a bunch and has just a couple of quick things to say to you about it.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Yeah, so I just followed your advice, Rick. I sent myself the golden email and I got to know Sue and her husband, Joe, who are lovely. And they worked up an estimate on one of our two families for insurance. And what I found in talking to them is that they're relatively new to Connecticut. And so getting to know our policies is super helpful for them. In other words, like flood insurance and that sort of thing is a little new. So they're still kind of researching and making partnerships with insurance companies. So for us to make them super rock stars, they need help from us. So then that being said, once I had a comfort level with them, I sent the golden email to 2 of our recent buyers. Both were super impressed with their rates. They actually converted all of their insurance over, cars and everything else. And what was really particularly helpful is that we had one particular buyer who had an inspection, and they do this free service where they'll give you a history if there's any claims on the house. Well, interestingly enough, they uncovered a claim on this house a year ago, and the claim was not large. It was like a $20,000 claim, but it caused us to pause and kind of look into it a little bit further. It turns out that a car had hit this house a year ago, and nobody had disclosed this to us. And because of that uncovering from Sue and Joe, we were able to look deeper into it, and lo and behold, there were structural issues. They were hiding a lot of things that were just not on the up and up, and we actually ended up walking away from the deal. Had we not uncovered that, it could have been a real disaster because there were structural foundation issues. So that being said, yes, sometimes it can kill the deal, but now my client has such a relationship with Sue, he's sending her things to vet. And now we're on to our next house, no insurance claims, and we're great. So anyway, they've been instrumental for us for 2 of our last buyers, and we plan on using them moving forward.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kim, for giving us a quick rundown on some positives there. If you want to know more about what that looks like, come today at 1 o'clock. Sue is actually going to be on with us, so she can answer questions directly. If you want process, we'll show you how to do it. It really is a great service, and we're really impressed with what they've been able to come up with so far. So do avail yourself of that. All righty, let's talk some stats. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down a couple of stats, and then I'm going to run through a whole bunch of numbers, and then we're going to package all of this and get this out to you by the end of the day tomorrow, so that you have all this data in written form. However, I want you to write down a couple of quick things that we're going to compare things against. The first is Fairfield County stats. There are 2 Fairfield County stats I want you to write down. Number 1, closed units year over year, 19 to 20. And that is up 17.9%. Not a big surprise, right? The second is listings taken. Fairfield County listings taken 19 to 20, up 4%. Now I want you to understand something, because we're going to go through a couple of different towns this morning and really take a look at what this looks like. Closed units were up almost 18%. However, listings taken up only 4%. Do you see why you feel the way you feel out there? Because there's everything that was on the market, even stuff that hadn't sold, came and actually went away, right? We weren't replacing the inventory to give people the choices. There are 2 other things I want you to write down, and that is your performance. Your performance for days on market for 2020, 73. Your performance, list to sale ratio, 99% list to sale ratio. So those are the 4 things I want you to write down, because as I go through the rest of these numbers, you can compare and contrast versus the county and versus you, so that you can see exactly what that looks like. So we're going to give you some townwide stats for 5 different towns. We're going to run through that real quick. They're the 5 towns that we do the most business in. And then I want to give you a report card on what you were able to accomplish, because my main intent this morning is to have you kind of model after what I'm giving you this morning and go and look at your own numbers in the exact same way. So let's start. Let's start in Ridgefield. So Ridgefield days on market for 2020, 97 days. List to sale ratio of 97.5%. Now, again, if you contrast that with what you did, you sold houses 3 or 4 weeks faster than the average in Ridgefield, and for 1.5% more than the average in Ridgefield, right? So I want you to start looking town by town to see what you did versus what the town did, to see if you're outpacing your competition. Median sale price year over year in Ridgefield, up 5.8%. Units year over year, up, buckle in for this one, 72%. up 72%. But here's what's interesting about those two numbers, and listings taken up 4.5%. So again, you have that phenomenon of closings up 72%. That in Richfield was 276 extra houses in 2020 versus 2019. In a town that doesn't have a whole ton of houses, that's almost, I mean, it's not quite double, but it was darn close. And when you compare that to the listings taken number, we only took in that town 36 more listings than the year before, but sold 276 more houses. Do you see how all that works to create the kind of market that you're feeling and experiencing? Do you think having that kind of conversation with your potential sellers right now would be useful? Do you think having those kinds of conversations with people who might put their house on the market, might push them over because they can see how much we need inventory and how beneficial that could be for them? Month supply of inventory in Ridgefield right now, 0.9 of a month. It's like 26 days. 26 days, we're not even talking about months, 26 days of inventory, right? So those are the 6 metrics I'm going to give you for each of these 5 towns. Days on market, list to sale, price, units, and listings year over year, and then month supply of inventory. Let's move to Stamford. The city of Stamford, days on market, 86. List to sale ratio, 97.7%. So just to go back, that means you sold houses 2 weeks faster than average and almost 1.5% higher in terms of value than the rest of the competition in the Stamford marketplace, right? You're outpacing what's going on in that local arena. Pricing up 8.9% year over year in Stamford. Units up 19.2%. 19.2%. And listings taken up 1.3%. So there again, in Stamford, you have 272 more houses that were sold in 2020 than 2019, but only 30 more listings that were taken, which creates that feeling of scarcity. Month supply of inventory currently in the city of Stamford across all price ranges, 1.9 months. 1.9 months. Still a crazy fast seller's market. Let's go up to the city of Danbury. In Danbury, days on market, 70. So in Danbury, we're actually flat, right, with days on market. We sell about the same speed as the competition in Danbury. And list to sale ratio, same thing, 99%. So the same as what you're doing in the city of Danbury. Pricing up 11.1%. Units up 10.3%. And listings taken up 3.2%. So again, you see the pattern here, right? In Danbury, we sold 101 more homes in 2020 versus 2019, and yet we only took 42 more listings. All again, ways you can explain what's going on in the market to your sellers and potential sellers to help them make good decisions. Month supply of inventory in the city of Danbury, 1.3 months right now, 1.3 months. Let's take a look at Norwalk. Days on market, 80, and list to sale, 97.7%. So again, just like in Stamford, you're selling things about a week faster in Norwalk, and for about 1.5% higher, 1.3% higher. Guys, don't underestimate knowing that you sell houses for 1% or 1.5% more than the competition, right? Because when you get asked, do you remember a couple of weeks ago, Fiona and I were talking to you about her battle with a Redfin agent, or her battle with a seller with a Redfin agent who kept saying a whole bunch of things, and part of it got into a conversation around, will you reduce your commission more? And it was fascinating because Fiona got to go back and say, based on numbers, if you list with me, we'll actually put $9,000 more money in your pocket. There's no reason for me to give you a break. Just hire me and I'll sell your house for more. Because when you look at the numbers between what we were able to do and what Redfin was able to do, that's what it said. And just by the way, Fiona did take that listing, just PS. Way to go, Porter. So in Norwalk, where are we? Pricing. Pricing is up 10.4%. 10.4% year over year. Units up 25.6% year over year. And listings taken, flat, almost to the unit. In Norwalk, this is kind of the biggest gap. In Norwalk, we sold 268 more houses in the city of Norwalk and took only 6 more listings year over year, right? Creates that scarcity, creates that craziness. Month supply of inventory in Norwalk right now, 1.25%. 1.25%. All right, last town I want to run you through is Newtown. And your Newtown numbers are this: days on market 87, list to sale ratio 99%. So in Newtown, we're selling things faster and for about the same list to sale ratio. Pricing is up 13.1%. Units sold up 39.5%. It's another huge number, 39.5%. And listings taken up 10.6%. So we sold 176 more houses, but took only 72 more listings. And the month supply of inventory in Newtown, 1.1 month supply. 1.1 month supply. What's fascinating is that in these 5 towns, which represent the 5 towns we do most of our business in, right, as an organization, the highest month supply of inventory was in Stamford, and that was still below 2, right? You're feeling that? So when we have our masterminds tomorrow, Wednesday, and Friday, we're going to spend a big chunk of time figuring out how are you going to find and uncover new listing opportunities, because that's the name of the game, certainly for the first quarter of 2021. Let me give you a couple of, before we close, let me just give you a kind of a report card on what you did last year versus your goals. First of all, for the first time ever, we paid you nearly $25 million in commissions last year. $25 million in commissions. Who got a good chunk of that? Raise your hand. Woohoo! $25 million in commissions is an amazing amount of commissions. And when you take the income that we received and the amount that we paid you, and you do all the math, the effective split in our organization, right? Because at some point you move from 70-30 over to 100%. The effective split for the average sale in our organization in 2020 was 85%. 85% as an effective commission split. Our listings to buyers ratio was 40% listings to 60% buyers. That's actually a slight improvement because we had been in the 30s and the higher 60s, right? So 60-40 is actually a great improvement. So keep going. We'd love to move that closer and closer to 50-50. Here are 2 interesting numbers. Leases. You earned in actual commissions $1.16 million in leasing commissions. That's a whole lot of $700 a month and $1,100 a month, right? Those are enormous numbers. 1.1 million in income from leases. And then on referrals, this is what the point I want to make here. On referrals, you earned $430,000 in referral income versus almost 2 million in leases. I don't know about the rest of you, but I think that spells out an opportunity. I think that there's opportunity for you to pay closer attention to referring outbound people to collect more referral fees with your license than perhaps we're paying attention to. We're gonna dive into some education on that. So watch for that in the next couple of weeks, because when I ran that stat, that number felt low to me, especially in contrast to the income you earned on leases. All right, let me run quickly down in our last minute. I know we're a smidge long. It's Bill's fault, just in case anyone's wondering. It's Bill's fault that we're running long. The report card for you. Closed units. Goal was 2150 for the year. We actually hit 2606, which means you performed at 121% of goal. Listings taken. 1510 was the goal. 1539 was what you performed. 102% of goal. Closed volume. Hey, listen to this. Closed volume was $1.2 billion. 1.2 billion with a B. It's the first time we've ever been in the billions, right? $1.2 billion. That's what you did in 2020. Listings sold, the goal was 780. You actually sold 1,015. So you performed at 130% of our stated goal from last year. Contracts written, the goal was 2,450. You actually wrote 3,050 units, or 124% of goal. GCI, the goal was 21.5 million. You actually closed 28.9 million in GCI, or 134% of your goal. In terms of agents added, in terms of you paying attention to our growth and your team leaders' performance, 192 agents added was the goal. We actually added 202. So the performance was 105% of goal. And of course, the most important number that I believe that exists in our ecosystem, profit share. The goal for 2020 was $850,000 paid back to you in profit share. Instead, you generated enough income that we could then pay you back $1.12 million in profit share, or 132% of goal. Guys, you did A+++ across the board in every category. There was no category that we measure that you didn't nail it and overachieve in 2020. And for those of you who have been around for a while, you know that we don't set wussy goals. We don't set goals that you could achieve with one hand tied behind your back. Those were aggressive goals, and you blew them out of the water by between 5 and 30%. So give yourselves a huge round of applause. Take this exercise this morning and make sure that you're going back and looking at your own numbers. I want you to make certain that your units sold outpaced the market center and the market. I just gave you the numbers to compare them to. I want to make sure that your listings taken number outpaced the market center and the market. I want to make sure that your income was outpacing, or were you up, right? Because you need to take a look and see as a business owner to make sure that your numbers are tracking at or better than your colleagues in the market center and your colleagues outside of the market center, right? I always want you guys to be one step ahead of everybody else so that you can always be out earning. As I said, we're going to put all this together. I know it was a lot of information. Dan did an amazing job. Kudos to Dan for typing like a madman, right, to get all that information into the chat. I don't think he missed a one. So thank you, Dan, for putting that in there. We're going to get that out to you in an email in the next 48 hours. Have a wonderful day today. For those of you who I'll see at 1 o'clock for the insurance opportunity, be on time because we're going to start right at 1 o'clock. Have a great day.